Over here being selfish.
Just being selfish. Yeah, but it's going to benefit them in the long run.
Taking my time on it. Thank you for your patience. Just being selfish.
I think we should just start there. Hey everybody, welcome back to an Inner Circle here with Mr. McConaughey. Before we get started here, I've got to start. It's a big one. Today, you might just leave here thinking being selfish could be maybe the most selfless thing you could do, but you got to sell me on this one. So, hey, good to be back here doing another Inner Circle.
Yeah.
It's been a fun journey, I have to tell you. I'm really enjoying doing this work with you, the impact that you're making, what Road Trip has become, and it's created a movement.
That was so much fun.
And it's so good to see what because I get to see behind the scenes of the work, the effort, the energy, you know. Hopefully it looks seamless, right? You see somebody winning a gold medal, you're like, oh, that was so seamless. All the invisible that went into it. And I have to promise you, a lot of work went into the invisible. And I left him a message just a couple days ago, and I said, I watching his work ethic, you going after the grind, the hustle.
Yeah.
You admire it when you're a hustler as well. Like I admire your work ethic. Road Trip didn't come out good because he's an amazing celebrity and actor, and just showed up one day and said, turn on the camera, I'll film some stuff. There was 6-8 months worth of preparation that went into that. 4 or 5 straight days sitting around a table in the other room, and we defined it and refined it and rewrote it, and from the set, from the look, the feel, and we created something that's changing the game, and it's pretty awesome to be a part of it.
All that hard work, and there was a lot. Damn, that was selfish of us.
Yeah.
Think about it. I mean, this is what I mean when I'm talking about redefining selfish, or why I'm for selfish, and why I think ultimately we need to be more selfish. Would it have been more selfish to not be here till past midnight all those nights that we worked on that thing? And just gone out to dinner, or gone and played tennis, or gone and played golf, or gone and done something else? That's maybe what we would have enjoyed doing at that time.
Right.
More. So would that have been more selfish of us? No. It's more selfish to put in the work, to put out the best product we can put out, so it communicates to you, so it has the best chance to succeed and get in front of the more eyes, so it can live on after we've dispatched it and after we're gone, and can be something that people will see, and it'll be a reference to us later on that we'll be honored by in this life and the next, that hopefully our kids will be honored by, and their kids will be honored by. So what's more selfish? I'd say putting in that work, in that position. You know, selfishness has gotten this bastardized sort of definition of well, if you do for the I, if you do for yourself, you are excluding what is best for your neighbor. I'm right with the first part, but I'm not okay with the second part. Doing for ourselves does not mean inherently that neglects what's best for the collective or what's best for our neighbor. When we're truly selfish, what we do for ourselves is what's best for our neighbor.
Yeah.
Not I win. Yeah, I win. Yeah. And you win too. Yeah. Am I doing the things for me to win and gain victories that also allow you to have a victory? Am I creating green lights in my life that also allow you to get in the lane and get a green light?
Yeah.
That's truly selfish, I would say. My argument is that. Now, my pastor says I'm pushing a big rock up a very steep hill with this selfishness thing.
What I love about Road Trip is you start with being self-aware. With admitting, right?
Yeah.
You start with, we got to admit, and then you go through this entire journey, and when you get all done, you bookend it with, this really all leads to being more selfish. And when you first hear that, and I know most of you are a part of Road Trip, when you first hear that, you go, you got to sell me on that one.
Yeah.
But as you understand that, that's what we're doing today. In today's Inner Circle, we're going to unpackage being more selfish so you can really be selfless. You know, this is something I trained on, and we'll unpackage this, and then I got a question for you. But I trained on time management years ago, a decade ago. I got hired to go speak on stage. I said that these people need stuff on time management. And time management to me is not really about organizing your time. It's about organizing your priorities, right? Everybody wants to, how do I get more done in a day? Stop doing the shit that doesn't serve the better version of you. There's plenty of time. Fill that with the stuff that actually moves it, right? But sometimes it's not as easy just to say that. But I got to a part about being selfish, and I remember saying, hey, if you want to take your business to another level, is it selfish to say to your wife and your kids, or your husband and your kids, hey, from 2 to 4, Mom's going to be in the study with the door locked. I got to go all in. I can't help you. Can't help you with your sandwich. Can't help you with this. Is that selfish? And I remember people were like, yeah, kind of. But if Mom lives into her full potential and launches that business she's been dying to launch, and she gets things more, and all of a sudden the business is thriving, and she could spend even more time with her kids, more quality time, and living into her full purpose, where'd the selfish go?
And that your kids got bored in that 2 hours and didn't have you to come entertain them for a second, actually made them get more creative and come up with something to do, which made them become of an entrepreneur spirit and a self-reliant individual because they didn't have you to be there to entertain them so easily. I'd say that's more selfish too, for your kids.
Yeah, it is. It is. And you know, I wrote down some questions earlier, and we're leading into that when I said that question, but I know how much you adore your wife and kids, and I get to see it the way we just had a conversation about our kids. I see the way you and your wife look at each other. It's inspiring. You know, you never know who someone is when no one's watching. Somebody said to me one time, be careful when you meet your heroes.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's happened to me a few times.
Me too. You meet somebody. We talked about somebody earlier today, but we won't share a name. It's like curmudgeon.
And I've told him. And I've told him, you're a prick. And I know. And I'm like, okay. But now that, and that's when I started to respect him again. I was I was like, well, at least he knows he's a prick.
There's the wink.
Yeah.
There's the wink. I know.
Okay.
I know. But I know behind the scenes you have an amazing relationship. It's not just for social media and pictures. How has being selfish in your life benefited the relationship with your family? What have they seen? What has been the outcome or the byproduct of it?
So, 2 parts. One, I want to tell you about something about winning the Oscar with Dallas Buyers Club.
Okay.
I'm going to start with this one. I'm talking to a friend of mine, Ryan Holiday. Some of y'all may know him the other day. And we were talking about selfishness. And he was saying at his work where he has a bookstore, he sometimes has people may come in and want to talk to him, or strangers want to talk to him. And some of these conversations can go on and on and on. But he has to say, he goes, I got to sometimes feel like I'm being rude to tell them, hey, I'm sorry, but if I spend more time with you, who I'm nice to meet you, I'm actually neglecting spending time with my true friends and the true people that I know and love, like my family. So it would be more selfish of me I'll do it as nice as I can, to say, I'm sorry, I gotta go, because I need to go spend time. I only have 24 hours in a day. I need to go spend this time with the people and nurture the relationships that I already have, that are already healthy, that are the people I love. I think that thought has served our family. I cannot be everything to everyone and give everyone the amount of time. Look, I got a brother, Rooster, who's like, how can you have too many friends? Millions. I'm like, I'm still trying to work on about eight really close friends, trying to dive deeper into those relationships. I mean, he's got a talent for it, but he just kind of can do it. I'm like, man, I'm trying to really double down and spend real quality time with the people that I have in my life that I love. I'm open to meeting new people. I want to meet new people and nurture new relationships. But I know I've been selfish, and we always say, whether it's saying, hey, Sunday's our day. Yeah. We don't make any plans on Sunday. It's a family day. What are we going to do? We don't know what we're going to do. Nothing or anything at all. We may just piddle around the house and clip our damn toenails and sweep the porch and cook a pot of chili. I don't know. Maybe that'd be ambitious. Whatever. It's just our day. And it's or hey, can you want to come out to dinner? Y'all come on. No. We have dinner at home during the week, and we all sit down, just our family. Or hey, can we all come over? What if we come over to your house? No, actually, more people at the table is not the best table for our dinner night. It will dilute. There's a time and a place for that we can say, let's bring everyone to the party. But you know what? Most nights in our house, 6 is the best number. myself, my wife, 3 children, and my mom.
Yeah.
And that's the number one. 7 throws it off.
And
10 throws it off.
Start looking through the lens of selfish in each of these categories has an amazing byproduct. Because if you start, we all got to filter stuff. That's why we're here, right? The last time we spoke, it's like adding tools in your toolbox. This is a tool. I just said it, when I first started dating my wife, she owned a hair salon for hair extensions, and she went out a lot to charity events, and because she'd meet women, and she did higher end clientele, and she'd meet people, and she got used to, she was single, she had never been married, didn't have kids. She was used to, she'd meet all these amazing people, and then they'd invite her to their kids' shower or their birthday party. And when I met my wife, she's like, oh, I got a birthday party. Are you guys good friends? She's like, no, but she's a client. No. And I'm looking at her calendar. I'm like, this is crazy. And she's starting to say no to these.
Yeah.
And then we're together more. We get engaged. We're living together. And she's like, I got my friend's birthday. I promised I'd go. She goes, and I remember her saying the word, I can't be selfish. I got to go. I'm like, whoa. And I remember saying this to her. I said, I got a proposal for you. Because she thought I was the complete opposite. I say no to everything. Everything. I love being with my family. I love what I do for a living. I love a good morning routine and an exercise. Everything outside of that is, I got to really discern if it's going to get a yes, right? So I said, what's more selfish? I said, it's been a busy week for both of us. I said, you could go to a party to people that aren't your dearest friends. If this is one of your 5 close friends, I get it. But this is outside that. That's probably 2 rings outside of that. I said, you can go to the party, wish you didn't go when you're halfway through it, shake a few hands of people that you're never going to see again, or we can crack a bottle of wine. I'll go cook, and we can stay here and put some good music on and have a fun night. Which one's a little more selfish? I remember, I swear on my life, if we get some time together, that's because she went just like this. Just not going.
Can't go.
and I watched my wife take this on where she doesn't feel guilty anymore.
Yes. Well, it's necessary. We can start to over leverage our time at the expense of what does really matter to us. I mean, we do it all the time. Hell, I do it all the time. I have to be reminded. Camilla reminds me. I have to remind myself. Again, it's a little like we talked about in Road Trip. We can get 8 campfires going at the expense of 3 bonfires. Work on those bonfires. Those campfire people, they also will usually understand. They usually understand. It's kind of you're not being rude. It's kind of attractive that you see that you got something going on. It's the old mafia thing. I'd always heard this thing about the mafia, the Godfather. If you're late to meet the Godfather, okay? If you were taking a nap or spending time with your wife or your kids, yay, beautiful. But if you were spending time with somebody else outside your family or outside of your time,
wow, then that's trouble. Yeah, then there's trouble.
I always liked that sensibility. I sleep 9.5 hours a night. How many people out there are mad at me right now saying that? Okay?
The guy sitting next to you.
Okay? I get 9.5 hours sleep. I usually sleep later. Usually. Camilla, you out there? Just about 364 out of 365 days of the year. Sleep later than my wife. Camilla. We tell our friends this, and they're like, well, I mean, geez, you get up and you do this and this and this way. You let him sleep. And she's like, no, it's a selfish thing I do by letting him sleep. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, I'd much rather be around that SOB when he's had 9.5 hours than when he's had less, because he's tough to be around if he's had less.
She's figured out the selfish model really well.
I want to do that for myself, she said. We gotta measure those things. What actually gives value, and the world tells us that would not be the selfish thing. That would be the selfless thing.
Yeah.
Well, again, this is what the world does that we got to watch. And what I'm doing when I'm talking about redefining selfish, these selfish, selfless, they're not mutually exclusive. Meaning, remember the opening definition of selfish? Do for yourself at exclusion of neighbor. No, do for self. Who added the second part? At exclusion of neighbor. That's not. That's another category you brought in. Who gave you the right to do that? No, not that's not the form of selfishness. That's not true selfishness. Everything we do, no matter how selfless we're not going to do it near as well until it's personal.
So true.
Camille and I got a foundation. Talked about it in Road Trip. Helping out a lot of young men and women in 44 schools across the nation. Does it selfishly feel, as part of the reason that I let myself go, yeah, you know what I do love about it? Part of the reason is how good it feels when they come to us and say, thank you. Selfishly, that feels good to me in my heart. Now, does that make me
so
vain? Because maybe that's part of the reason, not the full reason that we give, but I'm damn sure not going to discredit that and say, no.
And being so honest to admit that. I mean, this business that I'm in, your wife Camilla's here. She walked in, she said, do you like this? And you smiled and said, yeah, kind of can tell, right? But it's kind of selfish. You know why I like it? I've been in this business industry 27 years now. You know why? I've never looked at it through, so I just wrote it down. Because selfishly, I like getting messages and feedback of, damn, that one thing you said shifted my life. I fixed the relationship. I started the business. It's kind of selfish because it feels good.
Selfish. It is.
It feels
I'd pull
good.
the kinda off of there.
Yeah, exactly. It's selfish.
Truly selfish. Not the wrong, false definition.
And even greater, instead of looking for how many clicks or how many books you sold, of course, that's a measuring stick. You sell 1 million copies, awesome, 4 million, even. But when you start looking through the selfishness of, man, 4 million books means 4 million people's lives that I can impact. All of a sudden, taking your selfishness up has the opposite of the original goal. It's actually impacting more people.
Where selfish meets selfless. We talked about it in the last Inner Circle with the writing. Remember I went to talk about where the I meets the we?
Yep.
Where the personal subjective meets the plural objective and collective. That's true selfishness.
That's the marriage.
That's the true selfishness. That's where I believe truth lives. That's where the real art lives. That's something I think, to go back to the beginning, as we talked about in Road Trip, that's what we got. I think we need to admit that and own that. Selfishness has gotten a bad name. It's a curse word today, and it has been. And it's like, don't do that. Don't be that. We got to admit, it's all personal. It's just a matter of what are we making personal. I'm not saying, again, go chase and be just a hedonist that does anything for pleasure at the expense of harming others. No, that's not truly selfish.
Oh my God, this opens up, opens such a different way of thinking. As you were sharing, I'm sorry I just blurted this out, but I was thinking, you think to yourself, man, I've been dying, let's just talk about business, right? I've been dying to start this business for half a decade, but I'm busy being a mom. Got 3 kids, I'm kind of juggling. I got to always be there for them. I got to do what they need. Do you think you're the best version of a mom with the dream in your head, being selfless in the moment of which your version, your example, your definition of selfless is, I'm giving up my life for these amazing children, and they deserve it, and they do. Simultaneously, if you were more selfish and you carved out the time to start that thing at home or whatever it is you want to start, and you started getting momentum, and you felt inside of you that feeling of accomplishment, gratitude, I can do what I finally put my mind to, you stop dreaming about it, would you be a better parent if you were living into who you thought you were supposed to be rather than parking it on hold?
Would you be, as you said earlier, with your kids, give me 2 hours on my own, and I chimed in about, and they got bored and figured out, how to entertain themselves and some self-reliance. Would you be a better parent because at the same time your kids are going, oh, look at mom.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Look at her go.
She had a dream, she went after
and she's chasing it. And she wasn't just there 24/7, which I started as a kid, we can all admit, I was taken advantage of, like I really needed at certain times that I didn't, and I had to become more self-reliant. And all of a sudden I've got this example in front of me going, look at her. Wow, she was both.
It makes me think of when in Road Trip about, I love when you look at the camera, you're sitting in here in a different set, and you said, I dare you to, write your own eulogy, I dare you. And in that part, there's one section in the course where you said, imagine at the end of your life, picture your daughter, your son, they're at a pulpit, they're at a They're at a venue, they're at a church, and they're reading your eulogy. And you go, God, my mom, she always had this dream to do her own thing. God, I always wish she would go for it. I could feel her frustration. Yeah. She was always there for us. But, you know, she was a dreamer, and we love those dreams. Or would you rather them say, man, my mom left us a few times, but that crazy woman, she went after everything in her dreams, and she lived into her full potential, and she had that glow and that shine. I'd never put those two together until this very moment.
I mean, you've heard that adage, and it's a good one. The best lesson, I don't know if it's a lesson, but that you can give your kids is showing them how you love their mother. Or showing, if you're a mother, showing them how you love their father.
Mm-hmm.
We have to do that as parents, too. I know, come on, I check in and have to do this. It's so easy, even as parents, to go, well, the kids are dependent on me. I mean, you're going to be okay, honey. I'll be okay, right? But we got to remember sometimes, and she has to remind me, no, we need to be more selfish.
Yeah.
That date night proposal you gave your wife, that you got to go, no, we need to, they're going to be okay right now. Yeah, we need not neglect them, but they're going to be okay. And it's good for them to know, where mom? Oh, they're on a date, or they're taking their own time, or they're over there working right now, and I'm not going to go disturb them. That's ultimately a more selfish thing to do for our children.
And so many of you right now, I would bet to say, are in that phase of starting your own thing or scaling your own thing or even doing something on the side that fills your heart, and you're waiting. And I know listen, I grew up Italian Catholic. Italian Catholic guilt is huge. It's almost as my wife's Mexican family. It's a little thicker in hers. It's a little thicker in hers.
Yeah, but don't you get amnesty on Sunday?
You do, of course. My wife's one more generation. Like, she was raised old school because her parents are from Mexico. But some of you are feeling guilty about something that you're actually doing a disservice to your family. Like, you think by holding off on your dreams, you're doing something good here. Imagine if your kids someday were at college and someone said, what about your parents? Like, I'll share two things. Sometimes you meet, and I'm not advocating a divorce, but sometimes you meet someone and go, oh, your parents are still together. And they'll say, I wish they would have divorced 20 years ago. They hate each other. It's that same feel, because you imagine your kids having a conversation with a new college friend that they're living with and said, man, I wish my mom would have just went after her dreams. God, she just pondered on it forever. Some of you are at that phase right now that you feel like to go to your next level will be selfish. And it is, and congratulations, because that's what you need to do. You see how this twists? That's why I love this conversation, because I find myself getting a little tongue twisted about it.
It just doesn't have to be. Don't automatically by default tab onto that at the expense of my other responsibilities that maybe I'm using as an excuse to hold me back from going after what I want. It doesn't have to be at the expense of others as often as we just sort of default think it should.
Yeah, and if we got rid of the word expense of others and said it's actually at the benefit of others.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch gears here a little bit. And I don't know if it applies here. I'll just be honest with you.
Right.
But you and I have had conversations off camera, and we both dislike this place we are in our world where it feels like there's stronger forces telling us that we're not alike, that we should pick a side.
Yep.
And if you agree on this and I don't, we don't have that much alike. I'm over here, you're over here, and we should hate each other. Is there a way of being selfish could maybe bring some unity and make us realize that we have more in common than we don't?
I think we need to be much more selfish. Look, there's no way that I see that division is ultimately and truly the more selfish path and way to be. That's bullshit. We're talking politics, you're talking homes, a house divided, not going to stand. So what's more selfish of an idea or projection forward? Well, I think it's more selfish to compare before we contrast our values, our similarities, to seek a common denominator of those values and go, Hey man, let's talk politics for a minute. It's not my religion. It's just my politics. There's this great, I think it was a French quote. He said, you know what, we see as politics as a religion. It should be more like a tattoo.
That is so good.
Something about that was just like beautiful. We become so, and I understand the division because in these uncertain times, as you've talked about extensively, and we've talked about with the 24th of April, and we talked about in Road Trip, in uncertain times, we want identity, and we're missing identity. We feel like we don't, everything's foggy. So where do we go? We go to our like-minded friend, and we hang on, and we grab that flagpole, and we go, okay, you're here, I'm here. Okay, we build a little tribe. We got a little echo chamber. We got people that agree with everything we're saying. We're like, yes, this is who we are. But when you ask us when we go to those places what we're about, what our vision is, we don't really have one. You know what happens to us when what our vision really is, what our way of operating when we do that? It's not based on what we believe in. It becomes based on, I don't know what I'm about. I just know that I'm against whatever they're for. It's a counterpuncher's move. It's passive aggressive. It's tardy to the party. It's not. There's no vision in it. It's hey, I'll take second place. I'll take a red ribbon. That's all I'm after. It's not. There's nothing affirmative, or visionary, or progressively moving forward. It's not a way forward. So, isn't it truly more selfish to sit there and try and find a common denominator of values amongst us? And look, I'm going to go back to politics. Republicans, Democrats, as much as they may disagree on certain policies and ways and semantics, their values are much more aligned than they sit there and let themselves believe. The right doesn't have a trademark on responsibility and work ethic. They don't have a patent on that. You know what I mean? The left doesn't have a patent on empathy and rehabilitation. Yeah. The values are free trade assets.
True story.
That we should be freely trading. They're a currency that is free. It should be in free exchange across lines, and that's where we'll come away from this division. We have to look above politics. We have to look above, someone's manners and graces, or what they wear, or what they look like. Mandino talks about it. You know what I mean? And go to, wait, what's the person about? We've talked with many people before who are on opposite sides of opinion on a certain subject. But they're both baby fathers. As soon as we start talking about
kids,
what you want for your kids, all of a sudden they're like, whoop, I'm listening to you. Okay, we have a common denominator here of something we value. Okay. All of a sudden trust you more. You trust me more. We have a more selfish value in mind and in heart that we truly want, and where we meet minds and hearts. That's much more selfish than
because no one would ever think, I wrote, selfishness and unity could go in the same sentence. When
not traditionally, no, they wouldn't.
Not traditionally, but I was just thinking, I don't know the story as well as I should, but I know it pretty well, the story of Nelson Mandela. Was it selfish after imprisoned, after his first book that he snuck in and wrote got ripped up and he had to write the whole damn book again? Hidden, hiding it for years in a prison, where wrongfully imprisoned, comes out and forgives everybody.
Yep.
Was that selfish?
Yes.
You'd say from the outside, you go, hell no. Maybe stupid.
No.
But it was so selfish.
He chose grace. You tell me grace is not a much more selfish thing? To want to give, to want to obtain, to want to exist within? I think we undersell ourselves. We undersell what rewards we're after. We don't necessarily project far enough out about what it is we really want. And we talked about kids a lot. What are investments that we make now that maybe sacrifices that are maybe going to help our kids' life out? That we would go, well, that's not, maybe you should traditionally be more selfish. You shouldn't do that. Wait a minute. That would be at the expense of how you could be setting up your offspring and helping them out. So what's truly more selfish? The investment in the future of your lineage is a much more selfish endeavor than foraging whatever you have in front of you, what resources you have at the expense of, because they'll be gone and they're not going to help out your kids. What's more selfish? So we just need to project a little further and say, open up the definition of value.
Oh man, this is so good. This could go down so many rabbit holes. I love this conversation. So I'm just going to share the things that come to my mind to share with you guys today. But I exercise every morning, at least 6 days a week. Nothing crazy like when I was in my 20s, but I work out consistently try to do 7, but it's usually about 6 days a week. I don't love working out. I love how I feel when I'm done working out.
Yep.
But now I'm redefining something. Do you know the days I don't want to work out? I just realized that I'm selfish. And it makes me work out. You know why? Because I think my kids don't do, who's a parent, right? You know this. Kids don't do what you say. They become who you are. They model what you are. So my kids both play sports and they both exercise, not every day like me, but it's a part of their lives. And I always say to myself, if I take the time in the morning, and I have to tell you, some mornings my son will get up early and I want to quit working out. I want to go hang out with my 14-year-old boy. I do. I hear him in there, or he's up and he's making something to eat. I'm like, I don't want to work out anymore. I want to go in there with him. But I want to be selfish and work out. You know why? One of the reasons? They see their father at 54 every single day. I get up, I drink a green drink, a little apple cider vinegar, and I go work out. My kids just think that's what you do. Right. So I'm being selfish by taking that time, but I know my kids will exercise the rest of their lives. Never looked at it through that lens.
Well, some may go, Dean, that's not selfishness, that's vanity. Well, while we're at it, let's give some props to vanity for a minute. You know what I mean? I don't know. I worked out because I have more energy and I feel better, and my wife likes how I look better, and I don't know. I kind of like how I look in the mirror better. Bravo, vanity! Gay, yay! And I'm setting a good example for your kids, and now they start a day, and physical exercise is good for your mental and your spiritual and all that other stuff that it explains. But just we got to watch. We've a lot of words have been bastardized along the way and thrown over in the bucket of, bad word, don't be that. No. We got to take the words back, I think, for their true meaning. Prescriptionary meaning and a bit of redefining.
I love how you focus on words. With us, we got to spend a lot of time together, and that's one of the most meaningful things that I see is you really think through a word, and sometimes the subtle shift of the definition to you doesn't mean the world is adapted immediately. I hope with all that you do and new books coming out and new courses coming out that you start to shift some of these, right? You've changed my mind on unbelievable, right? It's like the same thing with selfish. I think if we start adapting, again, what I said earlier, so many of you are waiting to feel less selfish to go after who you're meant to be. The most selfless thing you could do, or the worst thing you could do is get to the end of your life and say, I didn't go after that, because that's where regret is huge. And I think if we start shifting this meaning to give it a new vibration, to give it a new definition. It really makes an impact.
I believe it can. I believe it does. We can't help it when you have a word like a selfish, and you think, oh, well, I only get selfish on Saturdays. You know what I mean? But I can have what I want. I can, no, there's a way to have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Because, yes, get selfish on Saturday. But if you're truly selfish Monday through Friday, you're reaping rewards, and you've earned that a different kind of lack of responsibility on your proverbial Saturday that you should take. But it's they're in exchange. It's not saying at the exclusion of what's best for others. It's not saying go be a gluttonous pig. No, that's not selfish. You wouldn't live as long. You wouldn't be as healthy. You wouldn't have as much energy.
Yeah, you leave your family early. You can't play with your kids.
That's not selfish. I think we have to break down that the selfish and selfless are not opposites. In the same way that I'm saying that would be not to be gluttonous would not be being truly selfish. It wouldn't be being selfless either. You see what I'm saying? It's not like the opposite of selfish is selfless. No, they're incongruent.
Actually, yeah, and one builds, being selfish can build the deepest level of selflessness, right? Put in the chat one thing you are going to be selfish with this week and stick to it. What are you going to be selfish with? Is it time? Is it committing to that next level? To working on that thing that you know you got to work on that actually gets the momentum moving? What are you going to be selfish with this week? I want to ask this. In Road Trip, when it comes to relationships, more love.
Yeah.
There's a section towards the end with your homework, with your exercise, kind of the boomerang effect. I think one of the greatest things, I don't even know where I got it from, but in relationships, keeping score can just kill you, right? My wife hasn't been nice to me 2 nights when I come home. I'm not kissing her when I come home, right? But the boomerang, how you wrote is, what if treating the person you're with for the next 90 days like everything, like you want to be treated, even if you feel a little off, even if you feel a little offended. I'd love to see, how does selfishness apply to that kind of boomerang? Because if you're selfish, right?
Yeah. So we're going to keep score in this love relationship. And I'm keeping score, and I'm going to be selfish because I want to win. And if I win, that's me being selfish. If you win, that means she or he lost.
Yeah, someone else lost.
So that's, as far as I can tell, not good for the relationship in the long run. So what's more selfish? You actually winning, so she or he lost? All of a sudden they're an opponent in a game that you're keeping score against? No, that would be the stupid thing.
Yeah.
That's the stupid thing we do. What's more selfish, especially in love, that's the game where it's with you and one other person when both win. That's being the most selfish. What can you do where both win? And that's that unconditional love, the boomerang effect of unconditional love. We give love, we expect an equal amount for it to come back to us.
Equal or maybe a couple percent more.
Maybe a little bit more. Yeah. Hey, since I started it, maybe you can compound this asset, throw it on back to me and double down and give me a little lanyard.
Yeah.
Hey, then we're keeping score. We've got to watch that. And unconditional love is when we are giving the love without the expectation and the entitlement of thinking, well, I'm only giving so I can then get it back in return so it will serve myself. Does it really serve yourself? In the short term, it might. You may have won tonight. Yippee. Here's your gold medal. Here's your blue ribbon. Bravo. Keep that up. You won't have somebody running in the race with you for long.
This is so good. I'm going to ask you something. I'm going to share something that's selfish in my life that I wouldn't have labeled it selfish until today. And maybe you could think of one in your life with your wife maybe or business. But with my wife, I'll tell you one of the greatest things I love about my wife. We've been together almost 6 years. To this day, if I walk in a room, my wife looks at me like it's the first time she saw me and she just met the love of her life. I can't even explain it. It's not on purpose. She just looks at me like it's fresh and new. There's never a time, and it makes me not do it. There's never a time it's like, oh, hi, hon, you're home. It was a long day, kids. It doesn't matter. We have 2 kids now, and she's home juggling a 5-month-old and a 6-month-old and a 3-year-old and our older kids. I'll come home every time. She's like, babe. And every time she makes me feel that way. Well, over 6 years, I know what keeps that there. My wife loves a few things. She loves to know that I am beyond loyal, which is true. She loves when I just send her quick messages during the day, let her know I'm thinking about her. Because I forget sometimes. You're running 3 companies, doing a lot of things, you forget. If I just go, oh shit, it's been a few hours. If I give her a kiss every night. Like, there's about 5 things that I know fill my wife's heart up. So selfishly, I do those things because when I walk in a room, my wife makes me feel like we're just dating for the first time again. Right. And I never looked at it through selfish, but I know I've gamed that system, if you want to know. In the midst of gaming that system, it makes me fall more in love with her. I'm not gaming the system just to do it.
Right.
When she looks at me that way, I'm like, damn, look at that woman I got.
Yeah.
So is there
very selfish of you.
It's very selfish of me, right? And then people look and go, how do you keep love alive? If I ever said to him, because both of us are damn selfish. Wouldn't seem right, right?
I believe it is more than right. I think it's true. Yeah.
You got one in your life? You got a selfish act with your kids, your wife, or business?
I do. Let me think what I got for recall. There's a couple that are similar to what you were just talking about. There's some small things. Camille and I try and do this. Okay. Who's gonna wash the dishes? Who's gonna make the bed? Instead of this, well, you should do that, or I should do that, or men do that, or women do that, or that. No. Throw all those labels out of me. I don't know. I'm last out of bed, as I was saying. I'm gonna make the bed. I'm last out of bed. That's fair. All right, I'm last out of bed. She knows I love to have my tea. Man, I love to come out. My tea's right there already made. She knows right when I get
big.
up.
That's
it's
big.
waiting. I'm like, yeah. She takes that time. She knows how much pleasure that gives me. Wash the dishes. What do you think? What's the meter? How much do you not like it on a scale of 1 to 10? I really don't like it. It's an 8, she says. I'm like, well, it's only kind of a 4 on my dislike meter. So why don't I do it? Because I don't seem to mind it as much as you. So doing these like and dislike meters are really cool measurements for who does what. Because somebody may not give a damn as much, or you may really not like to do something much more than your partner dislikes doing that thing. So instead of going like, well, you should, well, I don't know how much, it doesn't really bother me to do that. You don't really like it? Well, why don't I just do it?
If you do the thing that's the 8, then the dishes get done and the tea's there when you're waiting for it.
Yeah. Damn, that's selfish. Yeah.
You know, so my brain keeps thinking, and I know we're going down the road of relationships a little bit, but listen, this is an amazing family. Some of our family members have been here for 10 years, every single month for 10 years, which is amazing. My wife, I'm going to have a conversation about being selfish today because she's got it dialed in too. I have to tell you, and some of you might get upset over this. My wife's old school. She loves how hard I work. We have 2 little kids. It's going to sound terrible. Don't get mad at me. Don't beat me up in the chat. My daughter's 6 months old. I've changed 1 diaper since she was born. 1 diaper. And you're like, damn, it's horrible. My wife's juggling kids. My wife has figured out, that's kind of a 3 to me on the whole diaper change thing, right? But of course I would do it. My wife is the complete opposite. She's like, babe, you just put in 20 hours yesterday. You did this, or whatever it is. And she's like, that's my gym. I'm the CEO of this house. If I need your help, I'll ask you. And when she does that, she's being selfish because in my head, I'm like, shit, I got to step. What can I do for my wife today? Let me go do the dishes. Literally last week I came home, I watched her juggling, and she gave me that look. I went in the kitchen. It was a long day. I started at like 4 in the morning, and it was 7 at night, and she was juggling the kids. I came home, and she did a couple of those moves and said, no, babe, look at the way you work. Man, I went in the kitchen and cooked. I'm really good at Italian. I'm not a great cook overall, but I'm really good at Italian food because my grandmother is from Italy and taught me all her. I made her most favorite Italian meal, came out, had a little glass of wine waiting, had everything laid out perfect. Selfish on both sides.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm talking about it so much is because anything we can do to spark a different reaction. See, why I love being together every month with this group, Matthew, is because I don't want to overuse Napoleon Hill's message, but we fall into a hypnotic rhythm and don't know why. Yeah. I'd go forward, but I really don't like marketing. I'd go forward, but my husband just really isn't on board with me. I'd go forward, but do you see the president we have? Or did you see the president we used to have? Or did you see the president that might come? Did you see the news? What we don't realize, and the reason I love doing these every month, is because sometimes we get in this groove and we just need one thing to spark us out of it. Next month, we'll have another amazing topic. And we just hope that one thing hits some of you and you go, I'm not standing still anymore.
Right.
I'm not waiting anymore. And that's all this is sometimes we're nothing more than a reminder service to remind you of who you're meant to be, to remind you could do anything you want, but remind you that you gotta get moving. It doesn't just land on your lap.
Yeah. You know, selfishness and selflessness, they are in reciprocity. I think that's what we're saying. Many examples have come up here. Be selfish in the right, true ways, you will be more selfless to others. It works the other way too. The more selfless you are to someone who you do for them, it rewards you. You get that smile at night. It comes back, which selfishly makes you feel good. It's in constant reciprocity, selfishness and selflessness. But it starts with being selfish, because everything has to go through us. We are individuals and we have relationships, and we're trying to get unified, and families and communities and states and nations and continents and humanity. It still all goes through us individually. We have egos. We should have an ego. Without a sense of I have no identity. I have no discernment. I have no opinion. We have to have these things, but they don't fall prey to the world that says, well, then if you have that, then you are not doing something for the collective. Then you are disregarding the collective.
Yeah.
If you don't let the world tab that on to the backside of the true definition of selfishness that can come from being selfless, that makes you actually more selfless and also serves you.
One last thing that I want to talk about. I don't know if you ever felt this way, and you have a charity that you fund, and I was great to get caught up today. You were sharing about your charity and how 86% of it goes to the kids that need it. And how many? 44, 46?
44 schools.
44 schools, amazing. And you want to do 20 more, you said?
We're going to do as many as we are needed.
That's amazing. Amazing. I was in my early 40s, and Richard Branson, I'm not cool enough to call him my friend, but Richard Branson has a charity called Virgin Unite. Yeah. And I heard that 80 to 100% of the money that Virgin Unite raises goes to kids in need. So I was doing an event, and I raised $1 million between about 6 different people. We donated it to Virgin Unite, and he invited me to go to his island, which was pretty cool, Necker Island, right? So I'm like thinking he's just sending me there. He's not going to be there. I go there. He's there that week. And I'm like, I'm not going to be that, hey, Mr. Branson, huh? You know, so I'm like, I'm just going to do my jam. But I do get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock every day. So every morning I get up, there's nobody else on the island up, and I'm walking, and 2 mornings in a row I pass him, and I'm like, how you doing, Richard? Good to see you, thanks, this is great. But didn't want to be the guy like, hey, can we take a picture? So I just kept walking. Third day he said, hey, you sail? Fuck yeah, I sail. Never sailed a day in my life, right? He said, meet me at the docks tomorrow morning, 5 a.m., we'll sail. I'm like, I'm here. So I get out there. The funny part of the story, I get on, he's like, could you grab the rope on the aft? I'm like, honestly, I have no. Is that the front and the back?
But I'm on the boat.
What do you want me to do with the rope? Just tie it around this thing? Like a shoelace kind of thing? Like, long story short, we got in this boat. And I was in a phase of my life that I was feeling selfish because I just started making some good money in my life. You know, we all have our journeys that we're on, and I was starting to make good money, and I started to feel a little selfish, like, am I making too much? Am I doing enough for the world? And he gave me something that I want to share with you. And because a lot of people who in here, put it in the chat, some people feel like making money is a bad thing. And I want to share one of the things that changed my life. So I talked to him about it. And I brought it up, and I could tell he was looking at me a little funny. And after lots of conversation, he said, you know, we all were given different gifts and different opportunities in life. And he said, the person that goes to a homeless shelter or a soup kitchen and works on the weekends and volunteers their time, they're angels. They're there working. They're doing something they can do, helping somebody. It could be a smile. It could be just putting food on the plate. He said, other people, they were given different gifts. He said, other people, if you could walk in and hand them a check for 75 grand, that helps buy that food. And we're all put on for different reasons. So he said, the way I look at it is I know how to make some money. I'm going to give most of it away, but I'm going to go deeper on my craft so I can impact more people, care more people. So don't you dare, he said basically this is a decade ago, more than a decade ago, basically what I got from him is like, don't you dare turn down your glow. God, the universe, whatever you believe in, gave you a unique ability. Turn that shit up if you want, give it all away. And you know what I got from that? Is when people say to me now, is wanting more, or does money solve problems? Money doesn't solve problems. My reaction for 15 years has been, then you haven't given enough away. So if somebody said it's being selfish to want to make money, how do you look at that?
It's false. It's giving too much credit to that greenback dollar, which is a tool. You just said
True, it's a tool.
What do you do with it?
Right, it's not the money,
No,
it's the action.
It's like people say the internet's evil. No, the internet's not evil. What we're doing with it and on it sometimes, and that freedom can sometimes be evil, and at least we're kind of out of the corral on that in many ways that we need to come back and regulate ourselves on. The tools aren't evil. Do we know how to handle the tools like money in a more selfish way? To hoard all of your money and not serve where you can and help people out where you can and invest in things that restore and then use it in ways that gives people opportunities, is because you've hoarded it all and you die with the most cash in your U-Haul? Is that more selfish?
Yeah.
I would say that's not most selfish. I'd
complete
say,
opposite.
wow, okay.
Bravo.
And you won what? What game are we playing? And that's the question I think we need to ask to answer. How can we truly be selfish? Money's not evil. Money's not making money is not bad at all. That's a default response, and I understand that we can be irresponsible with money. We can make it at the expense of holding somebody else back.
Yep.
We can hoard it. We can invest it in tyrannical things.
Yeah.
That wasn't the money's fault.
Yeah, that's the person holding it. It's a really good point. It's like when someone says sales are bad. Somebody sells an old lady a lemon of a car, that's bad.
Yeah.
Someone sells drugs to a drug addict, that's bad.
Yeah.
Someone sells you to go to a movie, read a book, buy a book, get something that empowers your life. It's good. It's the same thing with money. It's the person that controls the fate of that.
And it keeps coming back to, it's personal.
It's personal.
It's personal. I believe if we're going to have a truly selfish collective change for the better as we evolve as a species and people and everything, it's going to have to be a collective of an army of individuals who have re-administered what they value in their own life and what they value in life in general, what they want to give and get from it. I don't think it's going to be a policy that's going to throw someone across the board and go, everybody sign up.
Yeah, everybody's good now.
Between your ears and between this and your heart, open up those passageways, and we got to, we talk about it in Road Trip, it's time to renegotiate.
Yeah. You know, it is time to renegotiate. And I love, this is, what did you say? That's dusty. I love that one sticks with you. Like somebody gives you an idea that's old, it's dusty.
Dusty idea.
It's like, do you remember when, what were the jeans with the white piping? There was a time when True Religions,
Okay.
I think it was True Religions. There was a time when jeans with big old pockets and silver things was really, especially out here, right? And you see somebody wear them like a year past, nobody has them.
Yeah.
That's the definition in my head now that you said that's dusty. Those jeans are dusty. Or that outfit, right? This might be a little dusty. You might have heard it. But I love that saying, you know, when you're on a plane and they say, put your oxygen mask on first so you can put it on others. That's truly selfish because if, like Richard Branson said, if you put your oxygen mask on and you are secure and you are good and you're financially set or you're emotionally set or you finally have inner peace, then you could be in a space to help out those you love, that you care about. You could put oxygen masks on other people. What do they say on the plane? If you're not selfish, right? That's the best definition ever. If you're not selfish and you put the oxygen mask on your little kid and your other kid, by the time you get to the third one, you pass out, you die, your kids have nobody. You were being selfless? Really? The selfish part is put yours on, get secure, take care of those you love.
You want to keep the farm, you better feed your family before you feed the cows.
True story. I can use that one now instead of the oxygen mask.
Those are good, yeah.
Guys, this has been so much fun spending time with you on another Inner Circle. Our whole goal every single month is to just give you a tool, a capability, a thought, a new lens, like a new pair of glasses that I've had for the last few months, right? Get to look through a different place and go, wow, I haven't been looking at that. I have been looking at that the same way forever. Let me give it a little shift.
Right.
Let me decide that being selfish is actually good. And what I'd say is, what if this week you journaled, as we talked about the last time we were here, you journaled about how you could be selfish that can absolutely make a positive impact in your life, in your family, your friends, your business, your income, and start looking through a new lens. Any last words about selfish before we go?
Yeah, amen.
Amen. Guys, thank you so much for being a part of Inner Circle. Next month's training is going to be off the charts. We'll have Mr. McConaughey back again soon. Until then, we'll see you.